Thank you for joining us today on Salon Sleuths. My name is Leslie and my co-host is Melissa. I want to remind all of you who listen to us on a regular basis, or maybe this is your first time, to please follow, subscribe, like, share, whatever the case may be for the platform you are on. Now, we do post these episodes on YouTube with video for those of you who'd rather watch. We enjoy making these shows, but unless you interact with us, we're not sure if you do. So please jump on your social media and let us know. You can find us under Salon Sleuths on almost any platform. Now, we hope you enjoy today's show. Thank you.
Hello, Leslie. How are you?
Hi, Melissa. How you doing?
Good. I know.
You stood me up this morning.
Oh my gosh, I have been a hot mess. I have to tell you about it. So, I'm in interior design and I'm always doing things in people's homes and big painting jobs, carpet installs. Those are all so nerve-wracking. You do your best, you deal with the installer, you make sure you have the right amount of carpet. They tell you how much, you get it here on the day it needs to be here so the install can happen. All this works out. And the installer calls me, he's like, "Yeah, I don't think we have enough carpet." I'm like, "What? How can we not have enough carpet? Like, you told me the numbers. I didn't just figure it out." So anyways, it all worked out. He was able to, but this is the thing, when they bring this carpet, most people don't realize this, when they bring your carpet, it's all in a roll. And so they have to lay it out in your garage. Well, your garage is only so big. So this roll of carpet is 12 feet wide by 26 long. Well, most people's garages aren't that long. So he ended up having to take it back.
Wait a minute. Have you seen my garage?
Yeah, he could not do it in your garage.
No.
Literally. Yeah. Some people I've seen even do it in their driveways because they don't have enough room in the garage. But here in Oregon, we don't have good weather all year round. So anyways, he had to take it back to the warehouse, lay it out in like Jenga pieces, figure out if he could make it work and we would have enough. It was so nerve-wracking and it would have been fine. It's not the end of the world, but I don't know about you, but with all this pandemic stuff going on, it's just like the littlest things that throw normal, day to day things.
It's easy anymore. Like if you needed to buy more carpet, it's not just like a phone call away.
No.
Coordinating when that person might actually be there. And so I understand that whole thing. Yeah. So, but I did mention at the last one where I was by myself on a very short episode, but how proud I am of you and how busy you are and how you're making it happen. So, you didn't come to the Zoom call this morning, I totally get it. And I was like, she's just busy and she forgot, or, just things happen. And so I do have to say this pandemic has made me not get so upset when I don't get my way. And, but I also know that you're super busy and you actually are working, and I only work 2 days a week. So I'm very proud of you.
I will tell you, I did not realize it was already 10:30. That was the problem. So I got there like at 9:30 and solving problems. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I was already supposed to be home by now, in my office. So I do apologize. And we've been just like ships passing in the night, haven't we?
That's all right. The weird thing is my sister called and she wanted her nails done. And she never does. She is a nail biter. And so she threw them out. She wanted them done. I'm like, great. But then I had that moment of panic, like, oh my God, is it her birthday? Like, is she doing this for a special occasion? And I know her birthday's in September, right? But with the whole pandemic and everything, like, what month is this? Did it already pass? Like, I was like at a moment of like, I know we just had Christmas. Like, have you done that where you're not even sure where you are in the year? And did it already pass? Did I already give her a gift, or did I forget it? And then now I owe her one. Like, I had a moment of like, I don't even know like what school year we're in. Like the whole thing is like, it's been really, the time has just like, I don't even know.
Well, I don't know about you. My girlfriends and I have been talking about this because we're all really, it's hitting us. But when we started out, everybody said, 2 weeks. And my husband was like, oh, it's going to be 4 weeks easily. And I thought, I can't stay home and be sequestered and all this for 4 weeks. Like, that's impossible. And, now I don't even know, are we past 9 months at this point? Like we went into lockdown on March 14th. So we're approaching a year at this point. And I could not have imagined doing it as long. And here in the Northwest, it gets rainy. And I think when we started getting kind of yucky and gross and dark and everything, then we had Christmas and we had Thanksgiving, to kind of look forward to. And now it is just the long haul to friggin' summer for us.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but it's hitting me way harder than it did before the holidays. And I don't know if it's because, my kids have went back to college and everything's kind of getting back to normal. I'm not sure, but holy cow, it's just been a lot. I saw this video I want to share with you from TikTok. This woman who calls it the pandemic wall.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, she's so funny. And she's just like, oh, honey, it's the wall and I'm back on it. And she goes, and then they want me to make dinner. And it cracks me up because literally my husband was laughing at that part because he's like, yeah, if I didn't have to eat it again, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Are you so sick of that?
Well, it's funny. Like I saw a TikTok yesterday and this girl says, if your wife asks you at 6:30 what you want for dinner, what she really means is, what do you want takeout?
It's so
right?
true.
We haven't planned it and we really don't want to do it, but if we're forced to, we would. But it's just kind of funny. Like I try not to get on TikTok because it just sucks you in. And I follow some really fun people. And there's a guy actually that I'm hoping that by the time this comes out, he would have responded because I wanted to put his TikTok on with this. Just because he's the one that gave me the idea for my topic today, which it wasn't from the salon, but I was sitting in the salon when I watched it. So
Okay.
that's how it all
It counts. It counts. I totally think it counts.
So.
Well, you'll have to put this. I can't even remember what her name is, but I just sent it to you. Oh, it's actually Instagram. I lied, but Luvie. Luvvie is her name. And oh my gosh, she's so funny. She says exactly what we're all thinking. Like, we're over this. We're done. Stick a fork in us. Okay, I love your background.
Oh, thanks.
What is that?
This is the Muffin Man. This is who I want to talk about today.
Is that like, I am the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man? Is that like a childhood story?
How does that song go? Let me see if I can pull that up. Yeah, who lived on Drury Lane?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So that is a song. You got it. But those are the only words to the whole song. Did you know that?
Well, those are the only words I know.
Yeah, I think those are the only words in the entire song anyway.
Wow.
So let me tell you a little bit about the Muffin Man, all right?
Oh my gosh, please do.
I'm going to go to my notes here. Okay. So the Muffin Man, the original Muffin Man, who was a serial killer, actually, his name was Frederick Thomas Linwood. And so this is where the song was made from. He lived on Drury Lane. Yeah.
No.
Okay, but when you Google it, like, it's all over the place. Wikipedia, it's crazy, like the things that they mention, because Wikipedia, which we know isn't exactly the best place for resources.
Right.
Because supposedly this guy lived in 1563, but according to Wikipedia, at 15, he was washing cars. Well, we know cars weren't around in the 1500s, but it's 1600 or 16th century is when this guy supposedly lived. He was a serial killer in England from 1563 to 1612. There isn't any actual records. There's just the story of it. And regardless, it is scary. And it's also like some of those nursery rhyme songs, they seem to have a little bit of truth to them.
Yes.
Like, Ring Around the Rosie.
A little scary side.
So maybe there was a guy who did something like this, but there's no like factual details that are like super strong that I could say were for sure. So we could just call this a legend at right now. But and it was just really funny because it said, he began washing cars in 1563. And I'm like, pretty sure cars didn't come into early 1900s? Like, I don't know when they actually.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was the Industrial Revolution. Like,
yeah,
really I would have to research that. I am not a history buff.
Yeah.
But that seems a bit early.
Right. Okay, so the Muffin Man, I guess way back in those times, a muffin is not what we think of it here in America as like a blueberry muffin. And a muffin back then would have been like an English muffin. Because this is more like, because he lived in England, right? I think that's why he said he lived here.
So I was wondering, did he kill people that had 4 muffins, or did he only kill women that have muffin tops? I mean, what's the deal?
Oh my God, I'm in big trouble then.
Me too.
Well, so I don't, you kind of go through all these different websites, and everybody has a little bit of different story to it. According to Wikipedia, though, his dad's name was Jedediah, and
Jedediah?
he was a baker who, as a child, like had significant trauma put onto Frederick on the hands of his father. And so supposedly
Frederick's the killer.
Frederick is the killer. So
Okay.
maybe because of the trauma he suffered as a child from the hands of his father, who was a baker, maybe that's why he became who he is. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But according to folklore, he would lure children in to his bakery. I have also heard it's his house. And
Which could have been both. Like he could have
it could
lived
have been.
upstairs, he
Yeah.
could have lived behind. Yeah, yeah.
So he supposedly would tie a string around this muffin, and then like the kids would think it was like a game where he would pull it into their house. I think if you have muffins and you're a baker, kids might just come into your house. You don't have to
Yeah.
pull a string. But from many pages I read that he would use this string to bring them in. And once they came in, they he hit them over the head with a wooden spoon. Now, I don't know what your wooden spoons look like, but mine's not very big. And supposedly he would knock him out with this. Now, I don't know. Is his spoon bigger? I have no idea. Did he use this spoon to grind up the wheat, which then made the muffins?
Is it like a
But
cutting board?
I I don't know, but like I was thinking about the wooden spoon thing. Remember, like when you were a kid, and my mom would
Yeah.
say, "I'm going to get that wooden spoon,"
Yeah.
and I as a mother would threaten to get the wooden spoon. I don't know if I actually ever did, but I threatened it. So I'm like, well, maybe this also came from that. Anyway,
Yeah, it could have been because a wooden spoon would not kill you. Maybe one of those rolling pins. I mean, if they
yeah,
were really big, certainly not my rolling pin, but I've seen marble rolling pins
yeah,
where I could, imagine that.
yeah. I don't know. Anyway, so this is why the story is. I was really excited to tell it, and then I was like, it's not as like, but it is still like it's part of history, right?
Yeah.
And so he then would supposedly, knock these kids out, and then he would torture them and then kill them. And supposedly he had killed like a total of 15 people. Some of them were rival bakers. Because back then you would wake up in the morning and you would have ordered your bakery items the day before or whenever, and then they would be at your porch that morning. So of course these were the wealthier people that could order bakery
I
items.
feel like the 1500s is a little early for this to have been occurring. This sounds like more like 1800s.
To me, I would have thought the same thing, especially like the whole, I mean, a lot of this stuff seems to be much later. But
Yeah.
back then, they did mention this is in early on when they were making bakery items, these poor bakers made hardly any money because they were doing it all hours of the day, and they would only sleep while the bread was rising
Oh
in
my
order to get
gosh.
some rest, because you only can do so much in your oven because you didn't have a mixer and you didn't have this. But you would, put your dough out, and then you'd have to take a nap, and then so they were tired, and he needed more money, and apparently he supposedly killed 7 rival bakers, a total of 15 people.
Oh
um
my gosh.
yeah, and that's pretty much like the story. Another thing that the guy on TikTok is like, and look into his death. And I was like, okay, well, let me just see what I could find. And apparently, like, he choked on a dumpling. And then the neighbor tried to save him by using leeches. But by that time, he had been dead too long. So it didn't work. But
How is the leech going to help?
I don't know. I'd bring blood to the surface. Like,
Did he put the leech in his mouth to hopefully suck the dumpling out?
I don't know. So I would be curious from this guy on TikTok, like what website did he go to find out what death did he see that was
Okay, what's this guy's name?
okay, let me pull him up. I,
TikTok, dude. Why
yeah, I'm
can I
gonna
not say
add
that?
this. Hopefully he'll respond and he'll let me put this in, and I'll just show the actual TikTok. Um this guy's name is Jack Glitched. Here, I'm gonna let you listen to it.
The Muffin Man. Y'all want to do the Muffin Man? Let's do the Muffin Man. So as you might have already learned, the Muffin Man was indeed a serial killer. He killed 15 children and 7 rival pastry chefs. His name was Frederick Thomas Linwood, and the children's song was made to warn small children and to help small children identify his MO so that they can report him to the authorities. Guys, there's a whole Tom Cruise movie about this guy. I thought y'all knew, but look into his death.
I do love that little Muffin Man that I see behind you, though. It's absolutely adorable. And did you put that little muffin there?
What's that?
Did you put that muffin there in your background?
No, he came together. I just Googled it. Found this image.
He's so cute. He doesn't look like a killer. Okay, so I think the Muffin Man has been coming to see me too much during the pandemic. I have to tell you a story before I get to my main story.
Okay.
Okay, so early on, I was doing a lot of baking. We were making a lot of bread. Like we were living life. And, the pounds crept on, right? So I've been trying to slowly just increase my workouts, that. But I am not a eat to live person. Do you know those people that just eat to live? Like they will just have enough to satiate themselves and then they move on. I am kind of a live to eat kind of person and work out so that I can have the goodie, right? So there's a brand name online everywhere weight program, right? And I'm like, I need to do something because I've done MyFitnessPal before and I just get so tired of counting calories. So, and it's not like I'm have a huge problem. It's just, I know the creep, right? If you don't deal with the creep, I got to just get back down to where I was, right? So I'm not totally unhappy, not losing tons of pounds, I just don't want to promote that. I just want to say that the creep happens and you just got to be conscious and, make better choices. Right. So I signed up for one of these online groups. I've never signed up, spent money to be on any weight program. So that's the first thing. So I go on and what I understand from him, it's like, oh my gosh, I can pay $18 for 3 months to be on this app. I'm totally going to do this. So I totally do it. And then I have this group of Marco Polo friends and I'm like, girls, let's do this together. And it's only $18 for 3 months. Let's do it. Well, then I get an email later the next day that says, okay, and we'll start charging what was it? $49 a month after your 8-day trial. And I'm like, wait, what? I thought I was paying 8. So I go through this whole bot thing. Oh, a total scam. So my girlfriend had signed up in the meantime. And she's like, Melissa, I think they're really going to charge us more. So we start going through this whole thing. Oh yeah, sure enough, they were trying to charge us. And then I'm like, this is what you sent me. This is what I understand. No, that's just $18 for the first free trial. I'm like, well, then that's not really a free trial if it's $18. And they were like, we know this is hard times. So for the free trial, contribute what you can. It was like $0, $1, $5. And then it said, it costs our employees $18.37 to do this. And I was like, oh, I'll pay the 18 because that was the highest amount. I'm like, oh, I'll pay the $18. But I thought that was for 3 months.
Yeah.
I totally got boondoggled. I am going to do it because I kind of it's kind of funny no, not funny. They kind of do it in a humorous way, the thing, but I did get them to offer me the 20% off the promotion that they have. So I did eventually get it down, but this is the weird part. It says it goes down to $25 a month, but then they just sent me an email saying, okay, we'll be charging your credit card $32.63 a month. I'm like, wait, how is that 25? Because if it's $120 for 6 months, that was the promotional deal. How is that $32? That doesn't make sense to me. So anyways,
you know what? I have an app that I love, and I use it, the type one that I use with all the different fun type, the text and stuff. Yeah. Well, it says I need to get the pro version in order to do other fonts, which I got. And then when I'm like, but it shows that I don't have it. So then I go to click on it to redo it. And it says, oh, yes, okay. Since you're already paid through August, we'll just tack this on for next year. Okay, meanwhile, I don't have access to the pro ones, even though you say I have it through August. I've emailed them, like, it's like crickets. I don't get anywhere with it. I'm like,
Really?
I don't even, I
This
wrote,
had like a live chat bot. So I was actually, or I don't even think it was a bot. I think it was a real person, but I was actually able to chat with her. Actually, I was sending it emails and she was emailing me last night
yeah.
back. And I think it was a real person. I could tell. So, oh my gosh, that's so frustrating. So you just keep getting paid extra, but are you doing it under a different email? Are you sure you're signing into the right account?
On my phone. Like, it's only like, it's
Oh
one
my
to
gosh.
it. So I'm gonna just have to figure it out. I mean, I've even deleted it and then redid it, and it's saying, "Oh no, you still have it. Like, you're good till August." Really? Because I don't have access to like the pro version, which I paid for. So I don't know.
Ah.
I'm not a technical person, so
Well,
whatever.
maybe you need to get their attention by telling your bank to dispute the charges.
Oh yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Well, but it's an annual thing.
Oh,
But one thing, I got attention once when uh, I went on Twitter and I asked my question, my
yeah.
frustration on that way, and I got a very quick response. So maybe I just need to go
Yeah.
out the open with it versus trying to do it quietly. I don't know.
Yes, I agree.
I
Well,
gotta tell you, when my sister came in to get her nails done,
yes.
she was laughing because her friend was listening to our podcast. And it was the story I was telling when she was almost kidnapped.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
That a
yeah.
long time ago. I'm not
Yes.
even sure. I'm like, oh God, what else did I talk about? But she was saying, oh, it's so funny how Leslie remembers it totally different. And
Yes.
isn't that true? Like, siblings will remember what they remember. And part of it, I was so young, I thought that's just what I heard. And had been repeating that story forever and ever. But
Yes.
apparently the guy, I said that she was like halfway out the window.
Yeah.
He was actually, she says, tickling her tummy. He was inside the window reaching in and like tickling her tummy, which to me is like, he's probably trying to get his hands on her to roll her out.
Yeah.
But I thought that was funny that we totally have different memories of certain things that happened in our lives, and maybe
Yeah.
my time is off. But my sister did mention how she is still freaked out. It freaks her out to even think about our haunted house and how she would wake up upstairs when she would
Okay.
sleepwalk.
I don't remember that you telling us that she would
Yeah.
wake up
So
upstairs. So, okay. So the
yeah.
listeners who haven't heard that story, tell the window story again. That your
Okay.
sister
So
almost got abducted from her room is what you remember.
yeah, I remember the story. I think I was really,
Okay.
we had a bedroom, and in my mind I remember it being like long, and on the end of my sister's room, on her side of the room, like, we had our two twin beds, and then next to her bed was a window.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I can't remember if it was really our back door. You could go down the driveway, and then you would take a left by the house, and you'd go onto a deck that would go to our back door. But on
Okay.
that deck was my sister's bedroom window.
Okay.
And I don't remember, I don't personally remember any of this other than I was told that she could have been kidnapped. And what I would remember being told is that he was rolling her out of the bed, and she was
Right.
yelling. When I talked to her on Wednesday, she said that she woke up and he was like tickling her stomach. And I was like, well, what did he look like? Like, and she's just like a dirty man. Like, she doesn't really remember other
How
than,
old was she?
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, 12 or 13. I think that's what
Okay.
but she screamed and he ran off. And
I don't think he was just planning to fixin' to tickle her.
no, I think he was trying to roll her over. Like, who reaches in a bedroom just to tickle someone's
Tickle someone when they're asleep. Yeah.
And I was like, we had hippie parents. Like, could it have been like my dad's friends, or like,
Right.
or friend, I don't know, like uncle.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't, do you recognize him? Like, I was trying to do like a Elizabeth Smart.
Yeah.
Like, you do recognize him
Yeah.
now? You might not
Right.
have been, but does it ring a bell? And she said no, like, but we supposedly lived in a haunted house.
Was
That's
that the same house?
the same house.
Okay. So wait a second. I got some questions about the other
Yeah.
thing. Did from that point on your parents lock her window?
I have no idea.
Or it's actually your window too. So he could have taken you.
Yeah.
You were 6, right?
Yeah, must have been. Yeah.
Okay. And
And
you don't remember it happening at all?
I might, but mine was, it would have been at my head versus her side.
Okay.
Right.
Do you remember it at all? Like, did you wake up? Did you?
I don't remember.
Okay. Okay.
I don't remember any. I remember the room, and I just remember I remember the house for sure. I
Okay.
remember being really, really scared of the shower head. In the bathroom, my mom would have to wrap a towel around it because it felt like somebody was watching me.
Oh.
And my sister says that hallway was definitely like the creepy thing in the house.
Oh.
And down that same hallway was the stairs that went up to the attic. And that's where my sister would wake up at when she would sleepwalk.
Up in the attic.
Up in the attic. And she hated the attic. Like it was like an upstairs where they had like a bedroom and stuff up there. So it wasn't like an attic like that we see where you store stuff. There was definitely a storage room up there, but my parents had a bed up there at one time.
Yeah.
So
Did she sleepwalk? Did she have a
yeah.
preponderance?
So she would sleepwalk up there and wake up there. And what's interesting, I think as an adult now, I think she has sleep paralysis.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I've never known anyone who has sleep paralysis. Does she think she has sleep paralysis, or you think she has?
Oh no, she does. She's told stories. Yeah.
Okay.
And
I want to hear from her. Will she come on and tell us about sleep paralysis?
Maybe. I think, and Ella has a friend that has it too. So she would be a good one because she's a teenager now.
Yeah.
But the other thing that Debbie, her friend, mentioned was the timing, like that the whole thing that happened with my aunt, and they did the little ritual in the corner. That all happened. Apparently we didn't move out. We didn't move out right away.
That your sister says.
That my sister remembers that.
Okay.
There was
tell that story. There was.
So we had some activity in our house, and I don't know for sure, but I believed it was after my dad had moved out. Of course, I don't remember any of this. I don't remember being scared in the house at all. I just remember being scared of that shower head. That was the one thing in the house that I still remember being really scared of that. And we had like our small, like all of our appliances stopped working. And then just different things were going on in the house. And I was so young, I probably didn't know most of it. But one thing that did happen on my side of the room was the light bulbs would just drop out of the sockets.
Yeah, you said that.
And then my mom would have to turn off the power and get like the
metal part
or whatever to get the metal part out. But I believe it happened more than once and I don't believe it even broke when it hit the ground. I don't remember. I don't know. I'm all worried to even tell the story because I probably have it wrong. But from what I remember is it would just drop and then bounce. And then it happened more than once. And then my mom
light bulbs were way stronger back then. So they would have been thicker. So I guess I could see that. And I could also see maybe them being so old that they would just fall out. But certainly now they wouldn't just fall
from the metal thing. Like
maybe back then I would tell you that would not happen now.
Yeah.
You would have to crank it to get it out. To pull it. Yeah. It's not just going to fall out like that. The metal could come loose
in the room and nowhere else in the house.
Yeah.
So that had happened. And then, so my mom mentions something, I think at work, or I probably have the story wrong too, but it mentions this activity going on in the house, and somebody told her, this is what you should do. And just to see how strong this spirit is or whatever. And apparently you put a candle in the area that you think this thing is residing, and you do some sort of, you say something, I don't remember what they say.
Seance.
Yeah, some sort of like, I don't know, wording.
Juju.
Yeah, and then depending on how the candle reacts is how strong the spirit is or whatever. And so my mom would say that they did this thing, and then I think if black smoke comes up, it means one thing, like not to worry, you're stronger than it. Or if the candle goes out, you probably do some protection. I mean,
should get the hell out of there.
Well, what happened was the candle went out, I guess black smoke, and then the candle turned back on. I probably had that wrong again. I don't know for sure, but it was enough that I remember them being really, really freaked out. I even kind of remember.
Were you there when they were doing this thing?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I can't remember. I
Okay.
do know that my mom told me this story where she felt like she saw a man in her window, but it was in the second floor. Like she would tell these stories, and of course, I'd love to hear them and all,
Yeah.
but I can't
Confirm it
now.
because
So
she's gone. Yeah.
yeah. But I grew up with like parents, like especially my dad. I remember going. I kind of thought it was a church, but it may not be a church. Um, and there's no way it could have been a church because gosh, I know exactly where it is. It was really close to Garden Home. And I think I went to preschool there. I might even have this wrong too. Now I'm too nervous, but um he was in plays and stuff, and but we went to see a medium at this place. And at the time this guy was channeling some person, and he was just going on and on and on with the story, and I'm like, who is this guy? Whatever. Now as an adult I would have been like all over this, but I remember like falling asleep in what I thought was a pew. Probably wasn't. Why would a medium at this church? What kind of church was this if this is the case? But
Yeah.
I grew up with those kind of things, so no wonder we might have some crazy spirits around us. Like if they were, probably dancing naked in a rain dance in the backyard, and I mean, I don't know. Yeah, whatever. It's funny.
Well, you know what though? It's possible that your sister doesn't remember things completely correctly either.
Right. I think that's probably the case, and both of us might have false memories, or maybe we both have a little bit of truth of both. Like,
So I have always prided myself on thinking that I had a very good memory. And as throughout childhood and all that, I have realized that I do not remember things that happened at high school at all. But I also sometimes question with my husband, he'll say, no, we were here when this happened, or this happened here. And I will literally go, no, I am like 99% sure that this happened here. And sometimes he's right and sometimes I'm right. But I would have paid you money to tell you that I was right. So I do think there's something about like cross memories, like will you remember one thing and you think it's this thing? And I don't know, that has happened to me more and more now. So I do not say I'm 100% sure anymore because I feel like my memory has really let me down lately.
yeah.
But it's possible too, because some of these things we can't verify who's right and who's wrong, like between
Yeah.
Eric and I. So sometimes I
Well,
think,
and
well,
honestly, does it really matter if we really felt like it was the truth? Like,
yeah.
and I'm the first one now that will say, like, yeah, I was probably wrong. Like,
Yeah.
I probably have it
Well,
wrong, but this is how I remember it. And insight, give me some insight because I don't.
also because you're 6, you were a lot younger.
Yeah, and it probably like sheltered me from a lot of the scarier things,
Yeah.
or maybe not. Like I remember being watching a lot of really scary movies because I had an older sibling, and now I love scary movies, but I have to find a really good scary movie
Yeah.
and I don't mean blood and guts. I mean like suspense thriller.
Suspenseful.
Like, yeah. Yeah.
Well, you and I have talked about this before on the podcast, but I remember when I was touched by the man that I was babysitting his kids that night while I was laying there. And I don't know what age I was. I could not tell you. I know I was in the 14, 15 kind of range, but
Okay, wait a minute. I don't remember this. Tell me again.
I think we've talked about it. So I was babysitting and I had babysat for this. So it's my brother's friend, and my brother's 4 years younger than me. So he probably would have been 10. The boy would have probably been 10, but he had a younger sister. So she probably was like 7, maybe. So she was young. I do remember she was like in first or second grade, and I had babysat them quite a bit. I mean, not like consistently, but off and on. And they were separated. The husband and wife were separated. The husband had moved out. The mom had called me, wanted to know if I could babysit while she went out with her ex-husband. And so I said, yeah. And she goes, well, we're going to be late, so do you mind spending the night? And I was like, no problem. And all I remember is I was sleeping and I had heard them come in. So I kind of woke up and, I heard a little bit of rustling around or whatever. And they go back to the bedroom and I hear the shower come on. And I'm laying there trying to go back to sleep. And I hear footsteps coming towards me, and I kind of just peeked my eyes open, and I see him with just underpants on coming like towards me on the sofa. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what is going on? Why is he here? He sits down on the sofa and starts rubbing my shoulders and massaging my shoulders. And at this point, I'm pretending like I'm asleep because I'm petrified. I honestly, Leslie, I had no clue what he was doing. I had no clue why he was doing it. And it wasn't until I was in my 20s that I understood what was going on. And I didn't tell a single soul. I got up in the morning. I stayed there because my house was only like 3 blocks away. I didn't say anything to him. I should have like said, what the hell are you doing? Right. But this was the teenage me. And I stayed the rest of the night, got up, and I remember I was petrified. I was like so scared, so freaked out. Went home, did not tell my parents, did not tell my mother till I was 21, probably. And the reason I told her was because it came out that he had been abusing his youngest daughter. Yeah. And now I know that he did that to get excited so that he could go back and have sex with his wife. And
which is so crazy because like the adult version of me would be like, what the F are you doing?
Yes.
And it's been so loud that his wife would have known, like, and
I would have got up, made a whole scene
at that point. Like,
yep.
It's like being just in that shock where you can't even do anything. But like now it's like, ugh, that is so terrible.
Yeah. And you know, there's been a part of me that the adult me, like probably from like, I don't know, my 20s and 30s, I felt bad that she had been molested and maybe I could have done something, you know. But then like 45 hit and I was like, you know what? What's the, you know, who can I call about this? Who can I tell about this? I looked him up. I know he's living in Washington. He's got a new wife. And his son, strangely enough, his son ended up going to jail and spending a lot of time in prison. I'm not exactly sure for what, but he was my brother's age. And so I know those kids were messed up. And I don't know, maybe he was doing something to his son too. That's total speculation, but if he was willing to do that to a babysitter that he had no relationship with, that easily could have freaked out and said something. I mean, he really took a risk, I feel like.
Or what did he not, what would have happened if you would have woken up? Like, I mean,
he probably would have gone like, oh, I was just, you know, I was not doing anything.
Warm, like,
yeah. See if you're okay. You need a massage, you know, whatever. I mean, I have no idea what he would have done. And I think at that time, I didn't understand sex and sexual proclivity and that nuances. I didn't understand that. So
it wasn't your responsibility. It wasn't your responsibility at that age. You didn't even know what you were dealing with, but
no,
that's really gross.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've had to kind of put aside feelings of guilt for the little girl because I could have done something, but honestly, I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know?
That's sad.
So yeah, isn't that sad?
I have some news for you.
Oh, what?
Well, oh God, no, I'm not going to remember his name.
Oh no.
So Jeanette, remember she came on with that guy? What was his name?
No, did he die?
What was his name?
I don't remember. He died? I want to call him Leslie from Will and Grace. He sounded like Leslie from Will and Grace. Do you know Leslie?
He just told me his name. Like, why can't I think of his name? His name was, oh gosh, now you have to look it up.
He'd been slashed in the throat, and she told him that he was gonna get slashed in the throat, but he'd be okay. He
came in as like to verify the story way before. He died of a massive heart attack 2 days ago.
Okay.
Keith.
Yes, I was going to look back in my records.
So Keith died of a heart attack 2 days ago.
I know why he died.
Getting his neck slashed.
But I know why he died.
Why?
What he's going to say he died. He was a bit of a QAnon conspiracy guy. He died because of this whole like Trump conspiracy thing. It's probably what pushed him over. No. I mean, the stress killed him because he said, remember the day that he got slit in the throat? He actually said, I was laying down trying to take a nap, but I'd been so spun up watching the news. When Trump won and people were, saying all these horrible things and blah, 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 blah. And he was so distraught. And he also, in that, I think we cut it out of that, he talked about Pizzagate and he told us to look it up. Like, he believed it. He was all in. He believed in Pizzagate, and I was like, do not post that. That is wackadoo stuff. Like,
Yeah.
But that's sad.
Yeah. She texted me late last night. I was already asleep. And then this morning I saw that she had texted, and then she was at 10:30 and I was getting on with
you were getting on with me
if I could talk. And I was like, oh, can we do it in an hour? And then I ended up calling her, and she told me, and she's like, of course, she's got a billion things going at one time.
Yeah.
So she's gonna try to reconnect again, and maybe mention being on the show again. And
yeah,
maybe we could find somebody who's got either a question or a missing item, see if she can help. You never found your calculator, did you?
Nope.
No.
I mean, I just stopped looking for it. We just bought her a new one and moved on. As Jeanette said, it was not worth it. Although I have teased my son, and I will, if he asks me to help him move out of that house, I will be looking in his closet. I have looked in this closet here at home, but there's only I've looked through everything and there's nothing here. So yeah, it's not in our house anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, yeah. I know, well, there was a time when I was cleaning out Tristan's room and I found like a calculator. I'm like, was she getting this confused? Like, it wasn't Ella's like fancy one or anything, but I was like, it was in his closet and it was like in a box, and I was like,
oh, interesting. Was it with a yellow book, like a dummy? That's the other thing. She mentioned the yellow.
Yeah, I don't have the dummy book, so
like a dummy book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that was definitely, it was math book for dummies in that.
Yeah. Well, maybe at one time it was in there or something. I don't know.
Well, it was. I think that was true. I think it just wasn't anymore.
Yeah.
And oh, that's still so sad. Well, I have a story for you that I know you know, but this was kind of sad. So I feel like we maybe should have done Muffin Man first, because that was kind of funny. But okay. Remember January 13th when we had that big, huge rainstorm?
Yeah.
And you heard on the news that there was a landslide and a woman got washed away in a landslide. Okay.
So tell the story.
Yeah. Did you hear much about it and kind of follow it at all?
I heard a little bit more afterwards, and it was like so sad, but I probably don't have all the details. So go ahead and tell me the story.
So strangely enough, I was devastated. So first of all, my girlfriend is commuting right now from Beaverton all the way to Hood River. And for those of you who don't live in the area, Hood River, the Dalles, that's all kind of considered the Gorge. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful, but it's about an hour and 15-minute drive from Beaverton to out there. So she's making a commute, and she moved out there to live with a boyfriend, and she's really happy. She loves it, but it's a major commute. So,
and it's along the Columbia River.
Yeah, it's along the Columbia River, and it's gorgeous and very scenic. This is where Multnomah Falls is. There's so many hikes, but it's also where that big fire that we talked about this last summer, actually. No, that was a different fire.
It was a couple summers ago.
Yeah, a couple summers ago. We had a big fire there. So it's kind of been devastated. Well, the devastation from the fires is what led to this big landslide too, because it had kind of been cleared out, and a lot of those trees and the brush and everything kind of holds the mud and the rocks and everything in. Well, so on January 13th of this year, so a couple of weeks ago, we had a huge rainstorm, and we hear that a town along that area has had a huge landslide. They had evacuated 25 homes on the hillside. And we hear then that a woman has been washed away in the landslide. Well, so I don't know about you, but I'm thinking, okay, well, how'd she get washed away? Was she actually on the highway? Because you don't really think about the offshoots off the road. And the story goes, she's a 50-year-old woman. Her name was Jennifer Moore, and she was driving along Frontage Road and near Ainsworth State Park exit off of I-84. So I didn't quite have those details at the beginning, but I also had different details, as you will hear. What actually happened was she was driving behind her husband, who was in his truck in front of her. I had heard she was like in a caravan of friends. That's not true. It was midnight. She was driving behind her husband in her car, her SUV. He was in front of her in a truck. They were talking on the phone. She was a nurse in Portland at Legacy Emmanuel or Legacy. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, Legacy Good Sam. Sorry, for 17 years. And all of a sudden, he heard screaming and crashing. And he couldn't see where she went at this time. But what had happened was all the hillside had come down. And because she wasn't on the highway, this is what I didn't understand. So here's 84, here's the hillside. There was a little road right here. And then here's the river.
And so the train tracks must be over there somewhere.
Yes.
Too. Oh, I know exactly, I think, where you're talking about.
If you go over there, it's full of like mud. Well, they've now kind of dug some things out, but literally this mud came down and filled that gap to the road, 15 feet high of mud and huge rocks, small rocks, all sorts of things. So I was really concerned about this. This like hit me. She lived in Warrendale. Her and her husband lived in Warrendale, but I was kind of freaked out about this. I was like, wait, how do people get washed off of the highway? I thought she was on 84. Well, then I realized,
because I was wondering, they said she was covered and I was like,
yeah,
could she still be alive in her car? And my neighbor was like, unless it got crushed, I mean, mud's heavy. And I was like, so how did they find her?
So this is what freaked me out, Leslie, is I was like telling my husband later in the evening, I'm like, okay, I'm really bothered by this. Like, so is she sitting in her car right now full of mud, like mud all around her going, how do I get out? Like, is that
she like in her car and there's just mud around the outside of her car and she's okay inside? Like,
that's what I was saying. Like,
okay.
What happened? Like, has this been a slow?
Did the windows break and mud come in? Like, how did that work? Like,
exactly. And my husband said, well, with the impact, this made me sleep at night, but I still, now that I hear she screamed, it doesn't make me feel very good. But anyways, he says, look, with the impact of that much wood, boulders, tree debris coming down, it would have more than likely knocked out all the windows and she would have been dead almost instantly. Well, I do think that was the case. They did say when they recovered the car, they've never seen so much mud and debris. And it was inside of the car. But the husband heard her scream, which I am sure he is devastated. And this is kind of interesting. So first of all, they started like the next day trying to, it was a recover. No, what's it called? A save, like they wanted to save her, hoping she was still alive. They used poles and they were walking, but they had a giant raft around them so that they wouldn't sink in, or if there were holes in the mud so that, it wasn't like quicksand. And they were sticking these poles in the ground, trying to find hard things. Yeah. And metal.
They do that for snow too.
Okay. Well, eventually they had to bring a contractor in who had a ground penetrating radar, a GPR. And actually that helped them determine the actual car location. And, that is how they found her. And then it took them a couple of days to sort of dig her out. But I was just devastated by this story. Like, I think it was, that freak accident where you're driving along and all of a sudden something hits you and you're now covered. And I just thought of her dying inside this metal box. And then it made me feel a little better. Maybe she didn't know what hit her. Like she just died instantly on impact. But then to hear she
had no idea what was going on.
No. How would you know? And then I think now my heart breaks for her husband because I'm like, oh my God. First of all, he was in front of her. So he may think, why didn't I let her go first? Why didn't I speed up? Why didn't I slow down? Like all these scenarios, and hearing her last scream breaks my heart for him. Like,
it reminds me of the stories of like 9/11 when people were leaving messages for their loved ones. Yes. As the planes being overtaken, like those ones freaked me out.
Okay, if I could give you any gift, because I know you've not gone there, is to go to the 9/11 museum. It is incredible. and they actually play those recordings.
Yeah.
In this little quiet room, you go in and they play those recordings, and you can hear those people saying, "Hey, I just want to tell you," I can't even say it.
Yeah.
I'm starting to tear up. But they play those live, and you're just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That's
that's what it
incredible.
reminds me of, kind of like.
Yeah.
That's just sad.
So
That's a really sad story.
yeah,
But
and
as a nurse, and like honestly, like I always feel like when things like that happen, that was definitely your time to go. Like
yeah.
that just doesn't happen. Like
No.
she could have been at home and the roof would have fallen on her or something. Because that's just, I mean,
Well, and one of the guys in the houses, that he got out, so he was fine. But he did say that his dog started freaking out, and he heard a rumbling, and he went out his back door or whatever and could hear or see the rumbling down the hill. Um, but I just don't think in a car you would have heard that coming.
you're just going along, your music's
Yeah,
on, and
you're jamming, you're
or
talking to your
talking to your
husband.
husband. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not paying attention to that.
When
So
Michael would run the gorge out there, there were those side roads
yeah,
that you ran along there. So I'm pretty sure it's probably one of those, but
yeah,
that's just
100%.
really, really sad. That
And
gorge, it has had some troubles.
oh, I know. And we went to Quincy, Washington this past weekend. And so we drove by it twice. And what I didn't appreciate at the time from the helicopter views that you would see is just how low the road had been. And here was the I-84, and it was just straight even. And you could tell that it had actually been on 84. So it
Yeah.
had just whoosh kind of up on the lip. And it was pretty high. I can now appreciate 15 feet. You know, you think about your room and, 8-foot room. Now imagine doubling that. Yeah.
It had to have gone over the train tracks then, because
Hmm. I'm sure.
I mean, they had to clean that out. The trains couldn't have gone through there either.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a sad story.
I know. Isn't that sad? So that's my sad story for today. I did want to say, you said it's been a very popular episode, but I wanted to let everybody know that Leslie and I, the two newbies, middle-aged newbies who are trying to figure out sound, the podcast that we did with my son Jacob, the sound I know was horrible. So I've gotten new equipment, and we are trying to get our ducks in the row and be a little more professional. I don't know.
What is that?
I don't know. We're not professional.
What?
If anyone knows us, they know we're not professional. We're, just winging it.
We are.
Ah,
We're just having something to do in between our life.
yeah.
So the Leukemia Lymphoma Society fundraiser, I
Yeah.
reached
How's
my
she doing?
goal.
Oh,
Yes, I
good.
had a huge donation.
Hey, now, is it your goal or was it Emma's
Okay,
goal?
so no, we personally each had our own goals.
Okay.
All the team members have their own goals, which then would go to the same bottom line of the team goal, which is
Okay.
$46,000.
Oh,
I think we're
wow.
close to around almost 11,000 so far, and we have about, I think, 5 more weeks to go. And so now I'm just going to help all the other team members with theirs. I did up my goal,
Okay.
only because I've sent out like 1,000 letters, so I'm hoping some of those will start coming back. But I'll start helping the rest of the team, which then helps us as a team, a whole team.
Yeah.
But
And you said that they're not able to do Light the Night this year.
I have no idea about that.
Okay.
We are only doing the Leukemia Lymphoma Society auction, and it will be a virtual auction. And
Okay.
so whatever items that we procure for that, I think our team has to have so many items that we're
Items.
donating. And then whatever those go for will actually also go to our fundraising efforts. And the team that raises the most money then will be awarded the Student of the Year recognition.
Nice.
And so coming up, I do have a 2-bedroom condo near Depot Bay. And I'm trying to call at different companies in Depot Bay area for gift certificates to kind of make it a package. Because it's for spring break of this year, I won't have enough time in order to put it in their auction.
Okay.
Because it would only give that person like a week to, if they really want to go then or not. But I think I might do our own auction through like social media.
Oh, cool.
So we may be auctioning off that later. A weekend.
So if people want to donate to the LLS, how do they do that?
It is through our website. If you go to the page, and it's either like
The Salon Sleuths page?
yeah, go to
Okay.
salonsleuths.com. And if you go to the menu, it says like special guest. I think I put a link on both of those pages, and
Okay.
you can donate to there. 100% of that goes to Leukemia Lymphoma Society for cancer, blood cancer research, and family support. The other thing I want to mention is when my nephew Casey died of JMML leukemia, it's a very, very rare form of blood cancer. But back then, when I researched it back then, what I found was I could not find one survivor of that type. When I looked it up recently, 50% live. So had that happened now, his chances would have been a lot better. But I mean, I really want to hope to think that the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society had something to do with that, because
Yeah.
they are one of the leaders in raising money for cancer research and blood cancer research. So we're really proud to be able to work with them, and especially for my sister. I was doing my own thing. I had my own son, and
So
I
do you
should
feel
have been
guilt?
there more for her. I
So
really
you
should.
feel guilt
I
about
feel
that?
a little bit of guilt. I feel terrible that a family member lost a child, like,
Yeah.
and my own sister,
Yeah.
and how devastating that was for her. And like, even to this day, like he would be turning 23,
Yeah.
and knowing all the things that he didn't do,
Yeah.
right?
But
You
but
never had a
I
best friend that you fought with and then, hung out again with, or learned to skateboard, or you never got to fight with your sisters and then hug them every Christmas, and all of those things. Like,
yeah.
you never got to, I would say, he never had a chance to make bad choices.
Yeah.
He never
Yeah.
had a chance to fall in
But
love. And
but you realize that you wouldn't have changed that. You might have been there for your sister, right?
right.
But
No,
you couldn't
totally.
have changed that.
Right.
And honestly,
But
your guilt is good that it's being put towards a good use, which is
no,
raising
we're
money.
helping other families so
Yeah.
that they don't have to go through what my sister had to
But
go
I
through.
don't want you to live in guilt about that.
No, I mean, it is what it is, and I feel terrible. And I think I've mentioned that to her, that I should have been there more. And
And what does she say?
I think she understands. My sister,
Yeah.
she's so kind and nice, but I don't know if that's always how she really feels.
Yeah. Like if
She
she's
would
really like, you're
never.
damn right, you should have been there. But you were
Yeah,
young, and sometimes you don't know what you don't know
yeah.
until you know it. And now you've raised 4 kids, and you would have been devastated, as your
Well,
sister
and
was.
she was super private. So
Yeah.
even if I was around, I don't know if I would have, if I was even allowed to go in and take over, which is kind of my personality
Yeah.
of certain things. And I know that her boyfriend definitely wasn't. We neither one of
Wasn't
them
open.
were fans of each other. So
Yeah.
that
And I
would
was gonna say,
cause.
I've heard enough to know that you might have been able to support your sister, but I'm not sure you would have been able to really play a part that you think you would have wanted to.
Yeah.
It might have
Well,
not been welcome. Yeah.
and I think it all went the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
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 But
And
I
and
can
you're
fight
doing
for
good
other
with it
people
now.
right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can turn it into a good thing now and
Yeah.
say, okay, what I didn't do
Yeah.
for him and my sister at the time, I'm going to do now for other families,
Yeah.
and put that really good to good use.
Yes.
But I don't want you to beat yourself up about what you didn't do back then.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
Yeah. I do think that you're awesome about that. You and our friend Laura J. Lojo, you guys do so much for the community and raising money and giving of your services that it does make me go, why don't I make more time for that? Like, I don't know.
Well, she's the reason that I made Braille jewelry.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Right. Because
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I got into that for a while.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, who knew? And the funny thing is, when you make Braille jewelry, or the way I was doing it, I had to reverse it because I was making the Braille
Yes.
from the back. So I was learning it all backwards.
Yeah.
I had my own charts and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's not like I could even look at something and know what that said. I would have to like look at it, flip it around, and then be able to,
Yeah.
because I was starting to recognize the letters, but backwards.
Are you still doing jewelry at all?
Um, I am currently making wood signs.
Yes, I saw that. Those are
Yeah,
so
so
cool.
that's what I'm kind of doing right now. I did make a keychain for one of my clients' friends. She her daughter wanted something and she made a nice big donation. And so originally we came up with the price that she was going to pay. And then when she gave me this big donation, I was like, listen, I'm gonna give it to you. And I made it out of aluminum. Normally I work with sterling silver,
Right.
but I made it out of aluminum. So it didn't cost me much to buy it. I just had to
Yeah.
make it. And I think my hands are still stained from polishing it up and making it. I made it look like sterling silver, even though it's aluminum. But
Yeah.
so I'm currently making some signs for donations as well. You can go to my
Yeah.
personal Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and look at them and see if that's something. Because there is a contest coming up where they're wanting donations from all 50 states, and I was like,
Oh,
okay, this might be the only way I can do this is by selling things, because when they put their when they buy it on, or when they make the donation online, it
yeah.
goes by their zip code to know, or yeah, their zip code to know where they're from. Because they're
Okay.
whatever team can get a donation from all 50 states wins like a gift card or something. So
Oh,
they have nice
wow.
little incentives for us. So it's like, how am I going to do this? Like the people that already donated aren't going to donate again, but I can make them something, or they
Yeah.
can buy gifts. And so each person then would just contribute straight to the donation, and then they can contact me and I will make them this.
Okay, but you said that's on your personal account. People aren't friends with you. So can you
Well,
put
I
that
think
on
I did.
Salon Sleuths?
I'll make a new one with all the, I have like 9 behind me that came through. I'll
Okay.
take pictures of those and I'll put it on our Salon Sleuths. If they want to sign, um, go ahead and make a, so I'm asking for
So
at least
what's
a minimum $20 donation. If I have to ship it to you, can't pick it up local, add $4 because I have to ship it.
$4? How do you ship for $4 if it's big? I thought those signs were big.
Yeah, but I put it in a bag. So I found this out on TikTok too. If you have a box, you're shipping a box, but you put it in a bag, it costs less.
What?
So it actually only cost me $2.80 or $2.20, depending on where you live. If it's East Coast, it's $2.80. If it's local, like on this side, it is $2.20. But I also had to buy the bag, and then I just got cardboard to kind of squish
Yeah.
it in between, and I put it in the bag and I shipped it that way.
Wow. How big is it?
Um, they're about 10 inches. Oh,
Okay.
sorry,
So it's
you
a
can't
10-inch
see it.
bag? No.
Well, hold on.
Oh, there you go. Cute.
And they're just wood. That's the
Oh,
back
so
of
they
it.
are light. Okay.
So A for Arthur, and then his name.
Oh,
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
I
Cute.
also can do a single letter. Like I had a client, or a, actually a high school friend, wanted just a single letter. So I was able to do a big S for her.
Oh, cute.
And so I'm making them either dark or light. And so
Cool.
just to keep it simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Anyway,
that's
that's what we're
awesome.
doing.
Okay.
You
Okay.
can
Good
either
for you.
donate, but if you want something for it, you have to message me afterwards so I know where to ship it and what you want.
Right. Boy, you need an Etsy account again. Don't you have an Etsy account?
I do, but they take money from that. I might as well just
Oh,
do it direct. And I want the money to go straight to LLS,
yeah.
not to me and then to them. They also then get a tax donation, but then it looks like I I mean I don't want to be like financially responsible for that kind of stuff. I don't want there to
Yeah.
be any question of like,
Question.
if you
Did
gave
you
me
keep
money,
some?
did
Yeah.
I give it to them? Like I
Yeah.
just want it to go straight to them,
That's
and then
perfect.
I'll work out the rest.
Okay. So here's my deal.
Yeah.
I just started this online, diet program, and that muffin behind you is
Yeah.
not helping.
Muffins are so
I
good.
want an effing muffin so bad after watching you for what? How long have we been on here? Like an hour? I want a muffin more than you know right now. I
Do
was
you
just like,
remember?
as you were talking, I was like imagining this little spot by your head, like that. I love muffin tops too. Oh my gosh, that looks so good.
Okay, you remember Randy that used to work in the salon?
Randy. Yes.
Randy. So Randy,
Makes muffin.
what did she say? Oh, she was talking about her muffin top. And I was like, girl, you don't have a muffin top. I'm like, you're like a brand muffin. So in my phone, she is listed as brand muffin.
No.
Because
Oh
she's
my
like a
God.
healthy, like she thinks that she has a muffin top, but it's all like healthy muffin.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, whatever. Your muffin
She's
doesn't taste
adorable.
good.
Yeah. I remember when she went on that big like exercise kick or whatever. I'm like, girl, you look
We all did.
fabulous.
There was
Yeah.
like a couple of years that we all looked good.
Not me. I didn't do that. I didn't go on that crazy program, but yeah, you guys did. You guys looked amazing. So
Yeah.
I just want to be consistent. Like I
Yeah.
just want a consistently healthy, athletic body. I know that I am a strong, healthy woman. I don't need 10 pounds on top of that strong, healthy woman. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
that's just my deal. And I don't promote diets. I don't believe in diets. I just believe in making healthy choices, which this online group is very much in support of that, and very much the psychology. Like today, it was really
What is
dissecting.
this?
Okay, why
What
do you
is the
eat?
app? What are you doing?
Well, I don't feel like I can say it because I don't get paid to say it, but the Noom.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if that's what it was.
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
cool?
It's funny because it's a little tongue in cheek, and they have fun with it, and it's a little bit more dissecting the psychology as to why you eat. Like I know why I eat. I get bored or I get stressed. I mean, all the reasons you could eat is why I eat. And why we do that. Why do we decide not to work out when all day we've been saying, okay, we're going to work out? What's the reason I don't work out? I feel like I should treat myself. I mean, all those reasons. So I think it's good to keep instilling, hey, I don't really want to work out right now, but I'm going to go do it.
Yeah.
Or I don't feel like working out necessarily. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm just going to get some steps, and doing as much as you can, knowing that we're under a lot of stress, as much as you can to make those healthy choices.
Well, and just remembering that once you go for that walk, you actually feel better.
Yes. I always
do it, but you always feel better afterwards. And I mean, I'm so guilty of that. And I feel like
Yeah.
I don't eat because of stress or that, but that when I do eat, it's usually really not healthy stuff.
Yeah.
And I was the opposite for a while, but I tend to always go to sugar. I am and I had an acupuncturist told me this once, like my body, I always say, well, I don't drink, but your body doesn't know any different with the sugar. So and so I might as well just keep drinking. Like
the sugar thing, and I'm not going to lie to you and say that I don't ever eat something with refined sugar in it, but I will tell you the thing that I learned that has curbed my strong desire for sugar is I heard that sugar feeds cancer. Cancer loves sugar. And I was like, oh, well, I don't want to put any of that in my body then.
Yeah.
So that has really kind of opened my eyes. Still, I mean, I still gained weight, but they talked about the first day that I was on the app being high density calories. Am I saying that right? High density food or high density calories? I don't remember. So if you think about it, your apple, your vegetables, all of those things are high. Even your rice or your whole wheat toast, those are all high density. When you get the cake and the donut and all that, those are not high density. Yeah. So it's the things but put into a different way, and then dissecting the psychological part of it, the aspects that what triggers me,
Yeah.
And I've said all along, like I'll grab for chocolate and I trigger, like I know I am being triggered.
Yeah.
I'll have an argument with somebody in my family and I will reach for candy, or I'll reach for chocolate. Which is the exact opposite of what I should be doing. I should like get stressed and go for a walk, or get stressed and go hop on the Peloton bike, and, just not reach for chocolate.
Yeah.
But so I'm just trying to, get back in neutral, get off the pandemic wall. I want you to post that Instagram, gal, because I thought that was a great way of putting it. Like, we are all backed against the wall. We are sick and tired of this. And
is she saying it?
Yeah. Yeah. She just does a little rant.
Hold on. Let's just
Okay. Okay.
I just gotta find it.
I sent it to you via text. So it should be the last text that I just sent you.
All right, everybody take a listen.
Hello, this is Lovey, writer, speaker, professional troublemaker, and I am reporting from a pandemic wall. What is a pandemic wall? It is where you find yourself after 10 months of a global pandemic that requires you to stay in your house, not see your friends, only talk to the one person you live with and the quarantine pod you have, and try not to lose your mind in the middle of it. I am firmly pressed against the pandemic wall. I ain't got it, y'all. I hate anybody. I hate everything. My last nerves left a month ago. Not to be back ordered anytime soon. Y'all, this pandemic is kicking our asses. Like, we don't really understand how much trauma we're going through right now. I got more gray hairs than anything. Like, our parents ain't aged this fast. Look at this. What? Bruh, like, the world shut down. All of our favorite things got pulled away at the same time. All of our coping mechanisms got pulled away. All the things that we depend on to help stand us tall got pulled away. I'm over here trying to be a good wife, a good sister, a good daughter, a good friend, a good CEO. And I'm probably failing at all of it because I just don't have my regular coping skills. I don't have my regular patience. I don't have my regular way of dealing with people. My nerves are bad. My nerves are short. I'm irritable. It's a lot. And then 2 weeks ago, I lost my therapist, the one person who was like the safe space of when I was even at my worst. I could be like, yo, let me show you all of it, and they'll get me back together. It's a struggle. Many of us are out here making it look like we got our shit together. We don't. I don't. Lord, I'm lighter than I ever been. I'm not supposed to be this light. I'm chocolate. I'm a chocolate girl. What is this? Why am I this light? Ain't no sunlight. I don't have it together. So I'm just here to be like, if you are having a rough day, if you have hit the pandemic wall, you are not by yourself. I got a whole book coming out in 5 weeks, and I'm already feeling burned out. How, Sway? How? Child. This pandemic is kicking our asses. Kicking my ass. I know that much. Shit. Fuck. Then we gotta come up with dinner every day and shit, like figure out what to eat. I'm tired of food. I miss my friends. I miss being able to go on vacation whenever I feel like it. I miss being able to go to somebody's restaurant and somebody else decide what I eat, or somebody else cook it, and I don't gotta be the one. Man. Yeah, this video ain't got no point. I'm just venting because I'm pressed firmly on the pandemic wall. So that's it. I ain't want shit.
Listen to this next part.
The Zooms. Lord, Father God, the Zooms.
The Zooms.
And they're all necessary. But Lord, let me tell you something. Being on Zoom for 9 hours a day is whooping my ass. That is a marathon. The Zooms. Girl, listen, bless it. We're going to be all right. We might not be all right now, but we're going to be all right. Keep saying
that. Well, another thing I saw on TikTok, they were saying that the movie I Am Legend, was supposedly, according to this TikTok, it was for 2021, and because of a failed vaccine. So this lady claims that she was curing cancer, and she had, I don't remember how many people, 1,000 people did this vaccine, and it cured them. But then it actually had the reaction of what rabies give you, and they became like these zombies who were like attacking people and eating, and that wiped out the world. And but when I actually rented the movie then, because I was like, oh my God, is that true? Yeah. Apparently you can't believe everything you see on TikTok. Because the movie came out in 2007. It was for 2012 that thing happened. I was like, well, maybe the person was dyslexic and they thought it was 21, not 12. In any case, it is kind of scary being that people are getting vaccines right now.
Yeah.
And is it going to have an adverse thing later? I
don't think so.
That no.
Yeah, I don't think so. I know there's a lot of conspiracies out there, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
And that's based on science. I mean, these people have been doing this for years and years. And yeah, there's always the one-off, right? But the repercussions of having COVID, I'm more worried about in the society. And we talk about the long haulers and how long it takes them to get better. And people have had it maybe 10 months ago and they're still having repercussions in their body from it. So I think that's probably more likely far worse than getting the vaccination. I would get in line right now if they would let me. So yeah, I would definitely take one. I know there's a lot of controversy over that. I have to tell you, have you and I discussed Zoom sweats?
No.
Okay. So I will not say who, but I've heard this from several people that are close to me, that anytime they have to be on video like you and I are right now, they like break out into sweat. And they call it the Zoom sweats. Apparently, it's like a whole thing. And there's tons of people online through this pandemic who didn't realize they had Zoom sweats, but every time they have to be on video, they get these Zoom sweats.
It kind of sounds more like an anxiety attack.
It is. Oh, it absolutely is.
So there's something that just happened. We bought one of those massager things, that gun.
Yes, I have one. I love it.
So I told Ella that I saw on TikTok this way to cure anxiety, because some of it's here, right?
Yes.
So I said, I saw that you take this gun and you do it in your armpit. And she goes, it actually feels kind of good. And I'm like, well, let me try the other side. Do you think it's working? And so I did it on Michael last night too. So I don't know. Neither one of them are probably going to listen to this. Yeah. But, if I can cure part of it here.
Yes.
Maybe. So all of our
you did the tapping thing with me, right? You did the tapping thing with. Yeah. Okay. If I tap, I instantly feel better. I instantly take a deep breath. There is something to this tapping thing. And I think that can't be different than, that's the same thing as probably it feels good in her armpit and she can just take a deep breath. And if nothing else, she's taking a 5-minute break out of her day to consciously.
But if I can make her think that that's working.
Yes. And consciously relax.
Yeah.
So I have found the tapping thing. I will do it sometimes in the car when I get stressed out. And I'm like, oh my God, I instantly take a little deep breath. I instantly yawn, which is really good to relax you. So I'm fully for it. And I'm fully for the lying.
Yeah, so people go to trinalee.com. She's awesome.
Trina Lee.
She'll help you through. I mean, I did a session with her and I just like broke out in tears. And I'm like, first of all, I knew I have issues, but nothing like that. Like what? And what we were talking about.
And you're not a crier.
Nothing to do. I was just like, yeah, for sure. I had like my moment and I'm like, okay, I'm better now. She's like, okay. I was like,
let's talk about that. Yeah.
Anyway, we need to remind people, please follow, share, like, spread the word. Follow us on Patreon, support us, give us ideas, interact. We love you. Thank you for coming.
Bye, everyone. We'll see you next week. Do we have topics for next week?
I don't know.
I don't either. We'll have to think of something.
Maybe
somebody should do a shout out.
Okay, shout out.
All right, cool. All right, bye, Les. Bye.